Hello and welcome to VOA's Red Carpet. My name is Jackson Vunganyi. Thank you so much for joining us today. On this episode of Red Carpet, we have Mozambican saxophonist Moreira Chonguica advocating for more protection for African content creators, and Nigerian artist Eugene Komboye turns flip-flops into portraits. Let's get on with the show. And as always, let's start off the show with some highlights of the latest entertainment news from around the world. Superstar Tems became the first Nigerian female to win a Grammy Award. The singer won the Best Melodic Rap Performance Award along with Future and Drake for their collaboration Wait For You. Tems, who is having quite a remarkable career, also became the first Nigerian to be nominated for an Academy Award. The nomination is in recognition for her role in creating Rihanna's Lift Me Up from the Wakanda Forever soundtrack. And in film news, Netflix has released the official trailer and release date of their upcoming documentary series African Queens, executive produced and narrated by Jada Pinkett Smith about warrior Queen Njinga of Angola. The series premieres this February. Mozambican saxophonist Moreira Chonguica says that Africa should protect its creative economy by creating policies that protect its content creators from exploitation. Moreira, who recently released his 8th studio album, Sounds of Peace, was in the US as one of the cultural representatives of his country during the Africa Leaders Summit. He spoke to me about the need to create connections between Lusophone Africa and the rest of the continent. Let's take a look.
Africa is a continent of survival, okay? And we've always survived. Why? Because we've managed to invent, create, and recreate sometimes things that we don't have. I would probably speak about involvement of policies that would facilitate and protect our creativity. That's the biggest challenge.
Moreira wears many hats, from educator to social entrepreneur. He's been called one of the most innovative jazz artists from Africa. On his 8th studio album, Sounds of Peace, Moreira draws inspiration from the rich and vibrant cultural heritage of his homeland, Mozambique, and he hopes to pass that on to the next generation.
Mozambique is a young country, as you know, 47 years of existence, and I belong to a generation that somehow is benefiting from the other generation, like artists like Malangatana, painter, like bands like Yofuro, Gorowane, you understand, and many others, okay, like sculptor like Shisano, like photographer like Rangel. So today we are benefiting because also we had access to education. That's why I call myself a young African and privileged, because I had access to education. And this is one of my main focus through my foundation and the projects I do, is that we have to try and find a way of involve these young kids, because we have a young population, but maybe not trying to copy what they do in America or not trying to copy what they do in Japan. Probably looking at where we at and try to create a model that fits the necessity and the circumstances of our communities.
He credits his country for providing him with the right environment to pursue his creative endeavors.
I've studied music from the age of 7 as an extracurricular activity in the beautiful city of Maputo, at what we call Escola Nacional de Música. Escola Nacional de Música is National School of Music. National School of Music was probably one of 6 or 7 institutions that our government at the time created after our independence in 1975. Okay, so just to say that my government in my country at the time understood the importance and the relevance of culture. They've created the National School of Music, they've created the National School of Dance, they've created Companhia Nacional de Canto e Dança, which is a national dance company. They've created art schools. So there was this interest.
Moreira says that for his new album, he engaged all aspects of Mozambique's creative community and wants to use it as a vehicle to bring in more young people into the global conversation about African jazz.
This is a copy of my new album. It's called Sounds of Peace, And again, we try to respect and integrate all the aspects of creative industry. Okay, to discover someone designed, Osório Chembeni designed. Yeah, you have a piece of art of one of the most celebrated artists and sculptors of Mozambique called Gonçalo Mabunda. So we have amazing photography from Mauro Vonda, Dilson Tomás, and Mariana da Silva, just to say beside the artists who participate here. So the value chain of the creative industry, what we were talking yesterday, it's here. But how do we transfer this to a young boy in Gurue, a young boy who's not in an urban area? So this is what I'm trying to say. So
To connect those dots.
do we need to connect those dots based on the reality and based on the circumstance and context of where these young kids are? Okay, we cannot create Beethovens if we don't have a grand piano, but we can prepare him to play a grand piano and beat Beethoven. Do you get what I'm trying to say? This is my vision with regards to creative industries.
Nigerian artist Eugene Komboye is turning discarded plastic flip-flops into colorful portraits in what he says is an effort to help clean up the environment in a country where plastic pollution is prevalent. Let's take a look.
My name is Komboye Eugene. I'm a visual artist, full-time recycling discarded flip-flops into colorful portraits to manage environmental degradation.
Nigerian artist Eugene Komboye is turning discarded plastic flip-flops into colorful portraits in an effort to clean up the environment.
I started working with this in 2017 as a student of Polytechnic, and it started as an assignment for me. And after I did my assignment, I found out that this is something I can do. This is something I have a strength and I have flair for, so I continued.
Komboye sources his material mostly from dumping grounds, landfills and riverbanks.
After I get them, I bring them into my studio for cleanup. So I clean them properly, I disinfect, I wash, so they become clean for my own safety.
Nigeria produces at least 2.75 million tons of plastic waste a year. That's according to government figures. And Komboye is now training upcoming artists who want to follow in his footsteps.
This is not just something that Africans are fighting. It's not something that is just about Nigeria. This is about the world. So my work is meant to, one of the major reasons and one major purpose of my work is to manage this plastic pollution within my own environment.
Planet Word is a museum in Washington, D.C., where the power of words comes into life in high tech. The interactive museum has voice-activated games, books, and other fun spaces for kids to learn that words matter, literally. VOA's Marsha James brings us the story.
Hello, and welcome to Planet Word.
Hello. Yo, hi there.
You're standing in front of about 1,000 words.
I'm Ann Friedman. I'm the founder and CEO of Planet Word, a new museum of words and language in Washington, D.C. From an early age, grew up loving to read, grew up being really interested in words and foreign languages, and that's why I started investigating the idea of creating a museum of words and language. Being able to occupy the Franklin School, this National Historic Landmark, as the home for Planet Word. We like to call ourselves the world's first voice-activated museum. So we have lots of voice recognition technology, but we also have motion activation. We have places throughout the museum where just by scooting in on a chair, the exhibit begins. Or by laying a book in a special holder, you will trigger projection technology. We have these paint brushes, and you can basically dip one of these high-tech paintbrushes in a word palette and paint the scenery around you on the walls with that word. When I dip my brush in that word, what's going to happen? You know, let me see. And I bet when you do that, you are never going to forget that word. It's going to be sunk into your conscience. I was a reading and writing teacher, and I think I was pretty successful at that. But like I said, test scores in language arts have been stagnating for years. How could we try to reverse these negative trends? And the idea that came to me was through informal learning. That's what happens at museums. You make learning fun, so I felt like having a museum allowed me the space and the influence and the sort of national attention that maybe would make reading and language and words cool again.
And now to sports news. Benjamin Mburu is a member of Kenya's only ice hockey team. With few resources, he and his teammates have to train on rooftops and rely on online tutorials. But they have dreams of one day chasing glory. Here is more.
Players in Kenya's only ice hockey team have to get creative about their training. The equatorial country has just one skating rink, which is not always available. To make up for a lack of ice time, architect Benjamin Mburu and his Kenya Ice Lions teammates swap skates for rollerblades and train on the rooftops.
We learn from online sites, there are online coaching tutorials, and also now for the training, we sometimes resort to inline hockey, which is more or less similar to ice hockey. And that way we get to learn more, stick handling, how to move the ball, how to move the puck, how to position yourself.
When they can, the Ice Lions hone their skills on the ice at Nairobi's Panari Hotel. But Kenya also has a lack of coaches. The team relies on expatriate volunteers, like head coach Tim Colby.
When I coach here, I realize the kids pick it up faster. They're a little bit hungrier, they want to succeed, they want to try this new sport. And, you know, if we have 40 or 50 people playing ice hockey, they're one of 40 or 50 people in a country of 40 plus million. So it's very special, they're very unique.
As the only team in Kenya, games are usually organised between themselves, though they have played friendlies against teams from the United States and Canada. Mburu hopes that eventually Kenya can join the International Ice Hockey Federation, giving the Ice Lions the chance to roar on a more global stage.
And let's have more sports news. Polo, also called the sport of kings, is a traditional field game with a ball played on horseback, and it's one of the oldest known team sports in the world. VOA's Marsha James meets in rural Virginia a family bringing the sport to a new generation and learns of the special bond between the horse and the rider. Let's take a look.
If you boil polo down to the salient point, it's the bond between the rider and the pony. That is the unique thing that gets in the blood of polo players. Whoa! It's the ultimate challenge. I mean, just riding at the speeds that you've seen and hitting a little bitty ball with a 54-inch bamboo mallet.
Thank you so much for watching VOA's Red Carpet. My name is Jackson Vunganyi. For more entertainment news, remember to check us out at voaafrica.com. We are also on Facebook, on Instagram, and on YouTube. Do not forget to like, share, and subscribe. Until next time, goodbye everyone.